Is like I said, what the bank manager would do, he'd actually go, if you wanted to borrow money to borrow a car, he'd actually go down to the car dealer and look at the damn car and make sure that car existed, make sure that car was a good car, make sure it ran good, maybe bring up a mechanic that the bank trusted to test the car out, and then he'd say, okay, we'll cut you the check. The same thing with the house. So the bank manager would go down to the architect, or tell the architect to appear in the bank, so you'd have to appear in the bank with the architect. The architect would have to say, I'm going to use 10,000 nails, 63,000 square linear feet of board. He'd have to say, I'm using 3 miles of pipes. And he'd have to show the itemized statement of the bill of what all these parts are going to cost to build a house. And he'd say, well, it's going to be $10,000 in parts and $10,000 in labor. And then the bank manager would say, no, you could buy this from Bob's hardware store for half that price. You come back with a proposal for $15,000 and we'll give you the loan for the house. See, so the bank used to protect you. And the bank would help you secure a loan for you with these architects or with these car companies, so you weren't being screwed by the car companies or by the real estate people. So nowadays, they don't protect you. So what they do is they let you buy a house for $500,000. And all there is $50,000 worth of parts and $20,000 worth of labor, and a real estate guy saying, no, give me $500,000 for a $70,000 house, and you do it. The bank doesn't protect you anymore. So, like I said, it used to be great when the bank actually cared.
They can save their money, and they can go down and buy a house with cash.
Right. Right. The people that save their money, if they would save their money, buy with cash, or they would just say, how many feet of board did it take to build that house? And then say, okay, that's $20,000 worth of wood. How many bricks? $10,000 worth of bricks. How much plumbing? $10,000 of plumbing.
Yeah.
Okay, $40,000. I'll give you another $40,000 in labor. I'll give you $80,000. And then the real estate lady says, no, that's worth $1 million. And you said, where the hell do you find $1 million in an $80,000 building? Show me.
It doesn't matter. Go build your own house. You know.
Right.
There's land out there.
Build your own house, right?
And these people can go get your supplies at Lowe's or Home Depot and go build your own freaking house.
Well, if you needed a loan, what I'm saying is, like when my parents did it, they needed a loan. And when the guy came back with the offer too high, the bank said, no, they're ripping you off. We could have the same house built for you from another architect. We had 20 houses built last year from a different architect, $5,000 less. Now, either you come down $5,000 or work with this other architect. So the guy
negotiate. Yeah.
Right, so the bank used to actually help you with the negotiations with the real estate people. Now, you just walk into a real estate office, some little lady drives a big, beautiful Cadillac Escalade, says, give me $1 million and you have this house. And you go, okay. And, you know, like, you don't know what the hell you're buying. It's like, you realize you just bought a $70,000 house for $1 million? Did I?
Yeah, well, that's the suckers. Don't do the deal. Nobody's forcing anybody to get in these situations.
Right, when you jump in an SUV with the lady from the real estate, you're not bringing a banker and an architect specialist with you who's walking through the house with you and say, no, I can build the same damn thing for $100,000. She's screwing you. People are just jumping in their Cadillac Escalades with these ladies, these real estate ladies buying houses for $1 million, and they're just doing it because it feels good. It's like, oh, look at the big, beautiful, pretty house. Oh, I'll give you $1 million. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. And I want to make a shout out to typing something about Brandon Adams. You know, Brandon Adams, he's another con man with the 1099 OID. That's a scam right there. Go ahead and do a 1099 OD and watch your ass go to jail. let me say, look, I'm a private investor. Now I do hard money loans on houses and land and property. And if I loan someone $40,000 on a home that's worth $100,000, if they don't pay me off, I'll put in a claim and I'll go down there. I don't need to hire an attorney. I will go down there and make a claim. And I will do the foreclosure, mano a mano. I know who makes their payments and who misses a mortgage payment. I'm not a legal entity. I'm a living, breathing, flesh and blood man. And I'll go down there, and you ain't going to be living in that bitch.
Well, that's a good style. But honestly, what happened if the guy says, see, the best I could do is $50 for the next 20 years? What would you say to him?
I'll foreclose.
Yeah. Well, that's
I don't
what
have
I'm
to
saying.
agree to $50. See, if you agree to pay me $750 a month, and you can no longer pay $750 a month, well, auction the property. If the property's worth $100,000, I'll take whatever payments that you have left on the mortgage. I would just pay off on that, and the rest of the money, whatever's left over, you can take the $15,000 and go on your way.
Well, what I'm saying is,
It's simple. It works like that. I go down to the courthouse like yesterday, and it ain't no big thing. You know what? I'm not the bank.
Right.
You're not dealing with a representative.
What I'm saying is, when you try to foreclose on something, like say mano a mano, like you said, the best thing for you to do would bring a jury, because a jury will throw that guy, that deadbeat, out of the house in a heartbeat. But if you brought it before a judge, the judge knows the law of this land. If the man,
I haven't had no problem with the judge.
What I'm saying,
the judge has seen my way when I go down there.
What I'm saying is, if the man requires of the judge to forgive him of the debt, he'll have to forgive him. But the jury won't understand that concept, but the judge will. So, when you got a deadbeat like that, like you said, who doesn't want to pay, and he says, well, you know, I'm down on my luck, the best thing to do is bring him before the jury. Because the jury will be like, well, no, you didn't pay your bills, you get thrown out of your house just like any one of us would be thrown out.
Let me tell you something. Hey, Karl, I had one that tried to do a bankruptcy, and the attorney called up and wanted to be the third-party intervener in the whole matter. I sent him a letter and I said, you have no business in this private agreement.
Right.
There is no law that can interfere with private agreement. They didn't even call me back, and then I went down and I foreclosed on them.
Yeah, that's right. You did it perfectly right. But what I'm saying is, if the man brought you before the judge, and I've already had people win, just before the black robed ones. The black robe, when you ask the other side for mercy, you have to give them mercy. But the jury won't be merciful. The jury will be like, well, if we don't pay our taxes, you should go to jail. If you don't pay your mortgage, you should get thrown out the street. The judge actually knows the law of this land. When you beg for mercy and ask forgiveness of a trespass, the judge has got to allow it. See, so sometimes it's actually good to go before a man in black, because honestly, the man in black, if you beg of him to be merciful, he has to be. But the jury will not. The jury will just be like, no, if we got to pay, you got to pay. And the judge is like, well, that's not the law of this land. The law of the land is, honestly, forgive those who trespass against you as you wish those who trespass against you to be forgiven you. So, it's interesting, man. That's what makes this country fun. It's a really good balance. So you just got to figure out what side you want to be on when you're making a claim, or when you're a defendant in the claim. Whether you want a trial by jury, or whether you want a guy in a black robe. So, I mean, that's what makes this fun. That's what makes these phone calls fun and these shows fun. And we